It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been almost a year since the last time that I posted a video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about why I stopped posting, but more importantly, what you can expect from the channel going forward. And just to let you know that I'm excited and super motivated to be creating content for you guys again. Now, since I last posted, a lot has changed. And first off, I just want to recognize all of you that have subscribed since the last time that I posted a video, because we've grown a 900 subscribers since that time. And it's really just been encouraging to see everyone commenting and connecting with me on LinkedIn and in the Slack group. We've had some Zoom calls with individuals, and I've had an opportunity to really help you guys outside of the YouTube channel. So for all of you, thank you so much for believing in me. And of course, thank you so much to those that have been with me throughout the entire journey. It's still crazy to me that this channel is where it is, even with the little amount of content that I've created up until this point. And that's what gets me really excited, because I think we have a big opportunity to grow together as a design community. And I want to be able to provide that value that I had hoped to bring to you guys 2 years ago at this point. So just really excited to be back again. Now let's get into why I stopped posting. But I guess before we get there, it is probably worth mentioning why I started to create content in the first place. As many of you know, I initially started the YouTube channel because I was documenting a design bootcamp experience that I was going through. I had seen it done for software engineering bootcamps, but never for a design bootcamp. I think that's probably because design bootcamps were pretty new, and so it just hadn't been done before, and that's where I saw an opportunity. And I felt like YouTube's a great place for people to learn, and I've been learning from YouTube for years. So this is my opportunity to sort of give back and start something and hopefully grow it into something special. And I still think we have that potential. That kind of content was really fun to make. I highlighted the experiences that I was having, showed you some of the work that I was working on, and let you know some of my favorite parts of the program. I also let you know some of the things that I didn't really love about the program. And so it was that transparency that I felt like I was bringing to you all that really no one else had been doing. But as some of you probably know, 4 weeks in, I was offered the opportunity to transition from sales to junior product design at the company I'm working at. And that kind of flipped everything on its head. The design bootcamp that I went to, Flatiron, had a program that was 42 weeks long or 9.5 months long. And so I sort of envisioned myself in the program for that entire time, creating tons of content for you guys. And of course, growing as a as a product design student at that point. And then when I got the offer, I still had intentions to remain in the program. I felt like there was still value there, but I quickly realized with how much money that it was going to, cost me to continue in the boot camp and how much I was learning, quite honestly, on the job, it just wasn't going to be worth it. So I stayed in the program for 8 weeks, and it ended up costing me around $4,600. 46 or 4,800, I can't remember exactly. Had I stayed the entire time, it would have cost me $15,000. I'm glad I didn't, because I found out that the program actually folded during COVID. And so I was one of the last cohorts that they ended up finishing. And $15,000, 10% of your income, because it was an ISA for up to 4 years, is so much money. And I am so glad I didn't do that, because at the time I was super frustrated with the content, the experiences that I was having. And so that's when I decided, when I dropped out of the program, that I was going to change from documenting my experiences to trying to teach. And that was a huge mistake. And if I was able to just go back, what I would have done was probably just continue to document my experience as a junior product designer, so you can get a sense of what I was seeing and doing. There was a little bit of an issue there, because the content that I was creating probably couldn't have been around the stuff that I was building, because we were working on a product that hadn't been launched. But nonetheless, I just felt like that would have been a way better approach. Instead, what I did is I tried to be a teacher to those of you that were like me, in a position where you wanted to learn product design, and I just wasn't in the right, I didn't have the experience to do so. And I tried to create an alternative to traditional education, but I didn't have that experience myself, so I didn't really even know how to begin. And though I did feel like I was creating content that was valuable for you all, I wasn't enjoying creating the content. And then I started to get some thumbs downs on the UI fundamental series that I was working on, and that's when I started to get discouraged, that content took me at least like 10 hours for every single one of those videos. And that was because I was doing the research, making sure I understood the concepts before I tried to teach them. I'd learned some of it, but when you're learning untraditionally, or learning, on the job, or basically just a self-taught designer, you don't really get that structure that maybe you are hoping to get, depending on how motivated you are. At least for me, I didn't really mind it. I started to do the channel to learn them somewhat myself. I knew of them, but just for full transparency, I was still learning a lot and still am learning a lot. And I think that's okay. But when you're trying to create content and you're putting it out there and people aren't liking it, whether it's what you're saying or how you're saying it, it's pretty discouraging. So yeah, not only were those videos taking me a ton of time, I really wasn't enjoying making the videos. And I started to question the direction of where the channel was going to be going and how I was going to continue to add value as I continued to try to grow as a designer. So I reflected on it a ton. And at the end of the day, I decided to stop posting. One of those main reasons was just because I didn't know the direction I wanted to take it. Another one was, well, I just didn't feel like it was that great of content. And so when you're lacking that kind of confidence, despite how the channel was doing, and at the channel was 300 subscribers at the time, maybe 320. Even then, it was just, I was a little discouraged, quite honestly. So that's when I decided to just question everything. And I tried to create this video a ton of times. And what I mean by that is another video. And I just it didn't feel right. I had moved to a new apartment in LA, and I didn't like the videos as far as the quality that they were coming out to. I tried to add like those RGB lights at the end there and just make it a little bit different. Didn't like the equipment that I was working with. I didn't have my own office space, so that was really challenging. I was working in our main living room, and with that came technical issues that I started to just obsess over, things like, video quality / audio quality. When you're in a large living room, you get a lot of echo. And so I had dogs. It was just a whole thing. It's the pandemic, right? Like it was just all sort of hitting me at once, and I just wasn't able to put another video out. But I'd say the main reason that I stopped creating content was because I wanted to put my head down and just work my tail off so that I could get better as a junior product designer. I wanted to become a product designer, and I wanted to take on more responsibility from the company that I'm working at. And that's exactly what happened. Some of you guys probably saw that video. I did get promoted from junior product design to product designer within 8 months. And from that, I was able to take on more challenges, had a lot of great opportunities that I'll have an opportunity to tell you about later on in this channel. I don't want to get into too much detail because I don't want to drag this video out too long. But it was a great time for me to just focus on me growing as a designer, and then I can come back to this channel at any time, and that's why I'm here today. And I will say, when I did come out with that video and I got the promotion, it did, give me some rejuvenation as to, creating content, and, everything was starting to feel like it was going to come together. But the reality is that's when I started to create the UI Principles series, and that's when it all sort of began to fall apart. And yeah, because I didn't know really what kind of content I wanted to create going forward, I just stopped creating content altogether. But let me just say, if you're still here and you're watching this video, because I know that not everyone's going to watch the entirety of the video, you're the people that I'm going to be creating the content for going forward. It's the people that see that I'm not perfect and know that they're not going to get the perfect learning experience, but they're going to get value from this channel. And that's who I'm creating it for. It's the people that are motivated and excited to put themselves in a position where they're going to learn on their own, self-taught design, right? And that is going to be a focal point of everything that I do going forward. I'm going to take it back from when I started the channel and just documented my experience as a design bootcamp student. And now I'm going to sort of document the experiences that I'm having on a day-to-day basis. And I guess let's start to get to talk about what I'm going to be creating in this channel going forward. I guess first off, I should say, now that I've had 2 years of experience, I feel a lot more confident. I know a lot more, that's for sure. And I've been a part of hiring product designers and hiring committees. So I know what people are looking for. I've done the interviews myself, so I know the kind of things that I'm looking for. And I've had a ton of experience. I've just seen a lot more, and that is encouraging for me to be able to give back to the community here. And since I've last created a video, we've launched the product that I've been working on for all this time. It's been nearly 2 years, and so I can finally talk about some of the challenges that I'm facing and show off some of the case studies that I've been working on. So it really is going to be exciting for that specific piece. I just can't wait to actually show off the work that I'm working on. And with that, that takes me into the main content series that we're going to be creating, which is my personal portfolio. I'm going to be documenting how I create my personal portfolio to give you guys an example of how you might be able to get started. There's a lot of people out there that will tell you just get something out there as quickly as possible, but I don't think that that's the best way to put your best foot forward. I think you should be really intentional, and I'm not saying you should take forever. I'm taking a lot more time than you probably should because I don't really need it right away, but I'm going to show you everything that I've thought through for that portfolio, and we're going to go through the creation of each page in Figma, and then we're going to build it in Webflow. But also we're going to be working on some personal portfolio like concept projects, and I'm going to document those as well. And that's going to be 2 products that we're going to be basically improving. And I'm really excited for that content. All of this content, I've been really hard at work in planning it, will take us out to mid-February. So we're going to have tons of content. That's 1 video a week. I'm going to go really into depth for everything that we're going through. And hopefully it encourages you and gives you some sort of a game plan as to how you can get started on your personal portfolio, and show you that you don't need to be working at a company to begin to put together some personal case studies that you're going to be able to show off to interviews, add interviews, and ultimately get you that job. Now, I want to go back to talking about the product that we launched. We launched a product called Remind. It's an email automation tool for accountants. And with that product, I've gotten tons of experience, and I just kind of wanted to highlight some of that stuff. So I've led all of the design research and created every single design interaction for that product. I own that product, and so I've seen a lot by launching a product basically from nothing. When I started, it was just me and an engineer, and now we're a team of like 12 or 15. So we're kind of like a startup within a quote unquote startup. I say that because our company is about 250 employees now, and we just raised our 4th round of funding, and we're valued at $1.2 billion. So we're not an early stage startup by any stretch of the imagination, but that specific product really was basically from infancy a brand new product. It had some support, but we were able to operate as basically a separate entity, which is just tons of great experience. So I was able to do all the design research, create all the designs, do the usability and user testing interviews with clients, and lead those, which is really helpful and beneficial. I've done things like create the marketing website, which is still hasn't been launched, but that's been really cool, valuable experience. Not something that most product designers really need to do, but because I have background in web design, I felt like it was a cool, piece to put on my portfolio. And then another thing that was kind of cool is I sort of co-created the brand logo. So we hired somebody on 99 Designs that sort of gave me the concept, and then I took that concept and ran with it, and then basically made it fit our brand. So, and I don't think I'll ever get to be able to create a logo that is seen by so many clients. I mean, we have over 1,000 clients, some really awesome names, and just to have a logo that I was a part of creating is really cool. So yeah, the reason that I never created the portfolio, to kind of get back to that conversation, well, I didn't have a traditional interview. I was able to transition basically off of an opportunity to create a prototype for the 3 co-founders at my company. They liked it so much that they offered me the opportunity to work full time. That's super rare, but the reason I want to create my portfolio is because, well, I think it's necessary, but 2, I think it's an awesome opportunity for me to put myself out there and continue to connect with you all. And I'll get into that in another video, but that's kind of the high level of why I'm going to be creating my portfolio. But I did want to say, even though I did transition kind of quickly from sales to product design, I don't want to discourage you and sort of make you feel like, how do I get an opportunity like that? The reality is I've been spending quite some time in years prior learning the tools and the skills. I started like web design at 16, and I didn't really start to take it seriously up until I was like 19 or 20. And that's when I started to use Sketch and Webflow and build. It was more web design related stuff. But then in early 2019 is when I really decided I wanted to take on UX UI design. And that's when I started to take community college classes at the Interaction Design Foundation, the Design Boot Camp. I did some freelance work. And from that freelance project that I worked on, I was able to show it off as a case study. And that's what initially piqued the interest of our co-founder. So I put in a ton of time, about 11 months of serious work that I was able to get into the role. So that's sort of the context behind that. Now, somebody I want to give a shout out to for this personal portfolio documenting series, I want to give a shout out to Ben Burns at The Futur, because he actually came out with a series that is basically doing pretty much the same thing. And he's doing an awesome job. It's still sort of happening. There's 4 parts. I'm not sure if there's going to be a 5th part, but it's still basically in progress from my vantage point. I did have this idea before I saw it, but once I saw him doing it, it just got me really excited. So just wanted to give him a quick shout out for that, because it's just great content. Now, I will say, if you're going to go watch his videos, he does an unbelievable job with his filming and editing. I have spent some money on equipment. I got this camera and got this mic. I'm still working on the editing, so bear with me. It may not be as polished as his videos. But it's people like Ben Burns and Jesse Showalter and Mike Locke and Ron Segal and Mizco that really have inspired me here on YouTube to create content. All of those guys are self-taught designers. Ron is a little different. He did go to school, but he's grown exponentially, I mean, since he went to school. So maybe he's the exception. But all those other guys are self-taught designers. And seeing Ben basically be so transparent in that series, with some of the doubt that he goes through even to this day as somebody who's so successful, has been really just motivating for me and just made me encouraged to put myself out there. Now, as I wrap up this video, I want to share a quote from a song, one of my favorite songs lately by NF, called Trust. He says that my silence doesn't mean I'm dying. It just means that I'm careful with the time I spend. And that's exactly how I felt in this hiatus. I did get comments where people were like, this is a dead channel. And that frustrated me, because it's like, just because I'm not posting doesn't mean I'm not working, and doesn't mean I'm not learning and growing. So all that to be said, I'm very excited. I'm very motivated. And I've got literally content. I actually looked at it real quickly, out to March, not till February. So much content that's going to be coming. The other thing I wanted to mention lastly is, I've been spending about 30 hours designing content for my full-time job a week. And the other 10 is pretty much meetings, 5 to 10 hours of meetings or so. And then I spend another 15 hours creating content on my own. And now I'm going to be putting it into the YouTube videos. So building that 45 to 50 hours of design muscle each week is not an easy thing to do. It's something that I probably wouldn't imagine a lot of designers are doing, especially those that are more established. But that's something that I'm doing it because I want to become the best designer that I can be. And so if you want to be great at design, I think you have to put in your 10,000 hours. And that's something that I'm going to be talking about in each and every conclusion of the video. Before I get into that though, I do want to have a section in every video where I have a design rec. Today's design rec is going to be Ben Burns' series. It's called Built by Hand, and he documents that portfolio making process. But at the end of every video, I want to leave you with this bit of encouragement. And that is that the only way to master a craft is to put in your 10,000 hours. So what are you designing today? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to subscribe. I will catch you guys in the next video.